Everyone, and welcome back to my channel. And today I would be going on an overview of how can we implement application load balancer. So let's go ahead and create the EC2 instance first. So we would name it ALB demo project 1, and we're going to increase the instance to 2, as we need 2 instances to test whether the load balancer is working or not. Then we're going to create a security group which is going to be dynamically created. Let's launch the instance. We don't need to change anything over here, and launch instance. So we'll be back once the instances are in the running state. So we have our EC2 instances in the running state now. What we need to do is change the name of this EC2 instance to 2, so we know the difference between both of them. And now what we need to do is that we need to go to the security group which we created, which was automatically created by the EC2 instance when we launched the instance. Now we need to go here, add a rule for HTTP. So we need HTTP to be serving the request of whatever we are sending it to it. Now we have successfully added an inbound rule for the HTTP for the source is anywhere. Now we need to go to the EC2 instance, all state running, and then I'm gonna connect to the EC2 instance. Once we are in, we need to do sudo su, so we have the root access for this, and then we need to do yum update y, so it updates with all the latest packages which we have. And then we need to do yum install httpd y, so this will install httpd on our EC2 instance. And then we need to start the instance. So for that we would be doing systemctl start httpd, so this will start the httpd protocol, and then we need to enable it, enable httpd. So now it is enabled, and then I'm gonna add one index.html in this particular path, which is var www html. Let's do ls. There's nothing inside it, so what we are gonna do is nano index.html, and then we are going to write a small body, and then we're going to close that body. Inside this body I'll have an h1 tag. We need to close that h1 tag, and in this we are going to add instance private IP. So we know that this is the particular instance which is being showcasing right now. Instance private IP, and then we're gonna copy this private IP and paste it here. That's all which we need to do. I'm gonna save it. So you do Control S to save and Control X to come out. Now if you do ls, we have the index.html, and then we can do cat index.html to see the content inside it. So as you can see that we have that particular content, and to test our local host, what we can do is http localhost / so this will give us our private IP which we have created, and let's do the same for the other instance. And I'm gonna close this instance so we don't have any confusion. All state running. Let's connect. So we need to follow the same procedure what we did for the first instance. So let's do sudo so, and we are going to do yum update y, and then yum install httpd y, then system ctl start httpd, and system enable httpd. So this will enable it, and now we need to go to that particular path which is var www html, and we need to do nano index.html, and we are going to do the same thing over here. Body, and inside this I will be adding a h1 tag, and in this h1 tag I would be passing the instance private instance ID of this particular instance. Now I'm gonna save it, come out of it, and then do ls, and then we can also do cat index.html to see whether the content to see the contents of the index.html, and we can do the curl http localhost, and it's working fine. Now what we need to do is that we need to test both of the instances whether we are getting the private IP. Yes, it is working for this one. Let's try it for the first one which we implemented. All state running first, copied, paste it. Yep, it's working for this as well. So now let's go ahead and create the load balancer. So now this is where the load balancer is. Let's create the load balancer. So there are 3 types of load balancers. Actually there are 4 types, but classic load balancer would be is a previous generation, so we shouldn't be using that. So we would be going ahead with the application load balancer for now, but network load balancer is used if you have like a lot of traffic coming in and gateway is to if you have like a firewall, then you need the gateway load balancer. So let's create the application load balancer. I'm gonna name it demo ALB load balancer. We don't need to change anything over here. We will keep IPv4. I'm going to select all of them. So these are the availability zones which we need to select. And I am going to create a new security group. So let's name it demo ALB project security group, and this is for the HTTP to ALB, and we need to add the inbound rule for the HTTP, and it should be anywhere. And we're gonna create this particular security group. Now we can go back and refresh. We can select this particular and deselect this. Now we have a listener. So this is where we are going to group the EC2 instances which we created. So let's create a target group. So there are different types of configurations from which we can choose, which is instances, IP addresses, Lambda function, application load balancer. You can connect it from a different load balancer as well if you want, but I'll just go with instances for now. I'm gonna name this demo ALB target group, and it should be HTTP, but if you are using a gateway load balancer, you need to use this. If you are using network load balancers, you can use these, but I'll just go with HTTP for now. IPv4 HTTP1, and the health check route is correct. Let's click next. We need to select both of this EC2 instances which we created and then include as pending below, and then we can create the target group. And as you can see that we have two of our instances already here, and then it's gonna give us the health status. So we need to wait till it gets healthy, but let's refresh this. I'm gonna select the target group which we created, and you can also connect it to the CloudFront plus WAF. You can connect it to the global accelerator for performance. Let's create the load balancer. So it's in provisioning state. I will come back once it is active. So our load balancer is active now, and if we go back to the target group, we see that both of the instances are healthy. So let's go ahead and test our load balancer. Now you can see that it is picking up the IP address. Now it is changing, so it's working fine. But one thing which we also need to change is that if we go back here and we see that we are able to access this particular instance from this public IP address as well, which we need to change. So what we can do is we can go to the security group, and then we can go to lizard1, edit inbound rules. We need to delete this, add a HTTP which corresponds to the security group of the load balancer. So we can just type, or you can search for the security group which you created for your ALB. So this will serve just to that particular ALB and not to the public instance. So now we can't access it from the public instance. So let's refresh and see. We save it. Inbound rule HTTP. My bad. Delete, add an SSH. I by mistakenly deleted the SSH. Sorry. Save rules. Now if we go back and search, this will go to an infinite search and it won't work. So we have successfully created a secure load balancer, which is just EC2 instance which can be just accessed by the load balancer. Now we can also go back to the load balancer and add some rules. So let's go to the load balancer, the HTTP listener, and then we can add rules. We can name it error. Next, add condition. We can add condition. So there are different types of condition. We can add a host header, path. We can even have an HTTP request method like get, post, or the source IP, which can be a private IP of your ALB or your EC2 instances. We can even add HTTP headers and the query string, but I'll just go with path for now, and I'm gonna name error and confirm. Next, and then we need to forward it to the target group. We can also redirect it to the URL or fixed return fixed response. So I'll just go with return fixed response, and I am going to return that this is an error page. Next, now we need to set the priority. So 1 is the highest priority and 50,000 is the least priority. So for now I'll just go with 3. So this is just for testing. And then create this rule. So as you can see that we have 2 rules now, and let's go ahead and test this particular rule, error, and you see this is an error page. So we have successfully created the rules. We have created 2 EC2 instances. We have grouped them together in a target group. We have created a load balancer, and that particular load balancer is targeting both of these EC2 instances on their availability. We have also checked the health status of them, so it is successfully working. That's all for today. Thank you so much. See you guys in the next video. Please subscribe, like. Bye bye.